Hi everybody, Tara Whitney here from Whitney Consulting. We write grants, tenders and business cases, and today we're doing a live question and answer session. So anyone who has any questions about grant writing or grants, tenders, anything that you've got any questions about that we do, you can pop on, write a question in the comments box and we will answer your questions. So we do a live Facebook Q&A once every 2 months, just to give everybody the opportunity to ask any questions they've got. The grants world can be a bit confusing, it can be a bit daunting sometimes, and we obviously want everybody who has a great project idea to be able to get the grant funding to deliver that idea. So that's why we pop on and give a bit of a live Q&A where you can ask any questions that you've got and get some answers to help you along your grant journey. So today's topic, and I do have a topic every time we do a live Q&A, just so that we've got something to be talking about. So the topic for today is grant funding during a difficult economic times. Obviously at the moment we are going through some difficult economic times, and so grant funding is a little bit different, and people wonder what the situation is when the economy is on a downturn or something like that. So during these difficult economic times, the impact on grant funding is varied. First of all, the initial impact is quite severe in that government obviously wants to get money out and get the economy stimulated. So they will originally, to start off with, they will often just give out stimulus packages like they have done, just to get the money out and get it being spent. Then as things start to calm down a little bit, they will increase their grant programs to get the money out, to get it into the community, to boost the economy. And that's what we've been seeing in the last sort of few weeks. We've seen quite a few grant programs being released to try to get the money out, get people to get the money, start spending in the community so that the economy can be kick-started. And that's what we can expect to see some more of. We can expect to see these grant programs continuing. Government won't stop spending money. They won't stop with their grant programs. If anything, they will increase and get going more, because they want money to be being spent by us so that things don't stagnate. So the thing that it will have an impact on, though, will be the focus of these grants. So the focus of the grants, and it has increasingly been that in the past few years anyway, but more so now, the focus of all grants is likely to be economics. So in some way, the grant will be focused on jobs growth, on economics and the economic benefits of that grant. There will be some grants that are focused on helping people to get through COVID mentally. So there'll be some sort of those social things where we've got some impacts, social impacts of COVID that the grants will be focused on. But predominantly the focus will be on economics and jobs growth. So that's a good thing for businesses. There's often not a lot of grants for businesses, but that may be a good thing for businesses, where it will show that there'll be some more grants that you might be eligible for. It'll also mean that these grant funding will be more hard won. So you will need to present a really good case, because everybody is going to be in the same situation, needing funding to do anything. Whereas some organisations previously may have had the funding just to go ahead and do it themselves, and they wouldn't bother with the rigmarole and the process of applying for a grant and having to report on the grant and all of that comes with a grant funding. They may not have done that previously because they would have just funded it themselves. Whereas now, money is tight, they're more likely to go, no, we're going to need this grant funding. So it could become more hard won. I've just had a question pop up: where's the best place to search for appropriate grants for not-for-profits? So, Bronwyn, we do have a blog on the website, which is at whitneyconsulting.com.au, so WHITNEY consulting.com.au, where I do go into quite a bit of detail about where to find grants. Short answer to your question, Bronwyn, is if you're looking at federal government grants, there's a really great site called Grant Connect, which is grants.gov.au. And that has all the federal government grants on it. If you're talking about state government grants or grants that are from organisations like your banks or CBH, those types of organisations, the grants aren't really in one central place. We do have a free newsletter. So if you are interested, we send out a newsletter once every month, which will tell you what grants are open and what grants are coming up. You can sign up to that on our website as well, which I said, www.whitneyconsulting.com.au. And the other thing that we can do for you, if you're looking for a grant for a particular project, we can search our grants database. So we keep a database of all of those places because, as I said, federal government does it really well. They have one-stop shop where you can go and find all the grants or get notified and emailed about it, but others don't do that. So we have a grants database that we have access to, given that it's our everyday life. So that we can go and have a search of that for you. And that's a free service that we'll do for you. So if you just send me a message to my email through the website and let me know what kind of an organisation you are, what you need the grant funding for, then we can have a search of our grants database and just send you a report for free if that's what you'd like some information on. Otherwise, sign up to the newsletter and we'll send it through. And also, yes, you're just going to have to go and like a whole lot of social media pages if you want to get the information yourself, so that you're notified from all of those different organisations that do provide grants. So as I was saying, the grants will be more hard won at the moment. They will be definitely economic focused. Now, what that means for you is you've got to consider a cost benefit analysis. So a cost-benefit analysis is a very economic thing and it's best left to the economists if you're going to do it really well, because you need to do economic modelling, you need to do sensitivity analysis. It can be quite complicated. If you are great at maths and you love doing that sort of thing, you can try to do it yourself. I would advise that you Google how to do it, and there's plenty of advice as to how you can do a cost-benefit analysis. It's not overly difficult. It just means that if you're an economist, you have access to much better data and you can do the economic modelling. So you'll be able to do it a lot better and more comprehensively. Now, a cost-benefit analysis is looking at the cost of the project versus the benefits, so the actual quantified benefits. So you come up with a figure. Obviously, if your project's going to cost $1 million, you've got a dollar figure as to how much it's going to cost. And then if you look at the benefits, you can quantify them and come up with a dollar figure as to how much your benefits will be worth. So then you compare the two, and if you are looking at less benefits to what it's going to cost you, obviously your cost benefit is not great. But if you can show that you're going to have so many more benefits, so many more dollars worth of benefits than it's going to cost to do your project, then it is an economically viable project. It is going to boost the economy. It is going to do great things. And it's something that government will want to invest in. So that is something to consider in this time to show that you have a really good economic project, is to consider getting a cost benefit analysis, because it's about the benefits beyond you and your organisation. It's about the benefits to the wider economy here. It's about the flow-on benefits. So if you are doing a project that is going to benefit your organisation and the people you serve, that's great. But what is the flow on going to be? Is it going to be requiring you to hire more people? Are you going to have to source more product, more services, and therefore you're going to use more businesses, and therefore the economy is going to grow because based on your project, lots of people are going to start to benefit from increased money because you pay them to do the services or the products. So it's about a wider benefit to the whole economy. So jobs growth, economic growth, bringing money in, the impact then, the flow-on impact of your project. And that's going to have to be something you really try to focus on at the moment. When there are difficult economic times, government wants money going out into the community. It wants to boost the economy. It has less of a focus on social impact at a time when the economy is in dire straits. The focus is on boosting that economy. So if you don't want to do a cost-benefit analysis, or you can't do a cost-benefit analysis, another option for you, or if you're going for a smaller amount of money and it's obviously not worth the time and effort, another option for you is just to make sure that the benefits that you talk about of your project are phrased in smart outcomes ways. So smart meaning they're specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're relevant, and they're time related. So if you can't do a cost-benefit analysis, what you can do is talk about all the benefits that your project is going to have, and then try to quantify them in some way. So talk about, our project is going to have a benefit. We're going to have to hire 5 new people, and that's specific. it's specific and it's measurable. We can measure that you have hired 5 more people. Make sure it's achievable and it's relevant to the economy. It's going to boost the economy, hiring more people. We're going to have to hire 5 more people within the first year of this project being completed to do X, Y, and Z. The impact of that is going to mean that we then also have to procure all these extra services and try to quantify it, X dollars worth of extra services, and that is going to mean that the businesses that we use to provide those services is going to have an impact on them as well. The flow-on effect is going to be that we're going to have to bring in all these new people to town if you're in a little town, and hiring people will bring them in. Or it's going to mean that these individuals that get the jobs, they're going to spend in the community. So it's going to have a flow-on effect on the community. So try to make your outcomes measurable and smart if you can, and that will help you to demonstrate the economic benefit of your project. Now, just because your project may be a social project, socially based project, doesn't mean it's not going to have economic benefits. There are economic benefits to every project. There are economic benefits to all social projects as well. So for example, if your project is about saving lives, you can actually quantify that. There is actually a formula to say how much a life is worth from an economic point of view. So don't be disheartened and think that, well, I'm never going to get the money because it's a purely social project. It may not be the case. But I do recommend having a chat to an expert, having a chat to an economist, have a chat to us at Whitney Consulting, and we can talk you through whether or not your project is likely to get funded, and whether or not we can see where the economic benefits would lie within that project. Now, if anyone has any questions, as I said, please don't hesitate to pop them down in the comments box, and I will answer them. But essentially, that was what I wanted to talk to you about today, is the fact that in difficult economic times, government won't stop spending. They will keep going with their grant programs, but they will be more hard won. You will have to consider really making an effort in putting that application in, getting a really quality application, because they're going to need, more people are going to be trying to get this money. The other factor is that less people are going to have matching funding to provide. So most grants these days require matching funding or some sort of leverage funding, whether that's 30%. So if the total project costs $100, you're going to have to put in $30, and the grant funding will only put in $70. So that leverage funding is going to be more difficult as well. So if you as an organisation are able to provide more match funding, more leverage funding than they are requiring, that is going to give you a leg up. That is going to have you get more chance of getting those grant fundings, because in these economic times, most people are going to just pay the minimum leverage funding that they have to. So if you can put in a bit more in your project, then I would do so, because that will certainly give you a leg up as well. So that's what sort of happens in grant funding in difficult economic times. I hope that is helpful. I encourage you to always do SMART outcomes anyway. So I encourage you to always, if you can, look at your benefits of your project, go through them and try to quantify them and make them smart and measurable, so that the assessor can really see exactly how much benefit you're going to have on the community, on the economy. But in these economic times, it really is very important that you either get a cost benefit analysis done, so you can point at a figure and say, look, for every dollar we spend, we're going to bring $2 into the economy, so it's worthwhile you investing in this government. If you can't get a cost benefit analysis done, it's too expensive, then try to do it yourself, or just talk about your benefits and your outcomes in those SMART terms and quantify them as much as you can. I hope that's helpful. Bronwyn, that's great. Yes, please sign up to the newsletter. Any other questions, don't hesitate to send me an email, tara@whitneyconsulting.com.au. We do this Facebook Live Q&A every 2 months. So if you do have a question throughout that time, don't hesitate to send me an email and say, look, I really struggle with this particular thing with grants. Can you make your Q&A on that topic next time? because I will have a topic every time we do a live Q&A, and I'm more than willing to tailor that to whatever it is that people need. So if there's a particular area of grants that is driving you crazy and you'd really like me to talk it through with you, let me know, and I'll do that on the live Q&A next time. So we'll be back again in 2 months to do another one of these for anyone that has any questions. I will, as always, I'm here, so don't hesitate to send me an email or jump onto the website. Thanks very much, everybody. Bye.